Robustness is survival. What this means for you is this: if an intervention helps you maintain more muscle mass, one of the biggest fears people have about longevity is simple. If we extend health span, won't we just be old and weak for longer? It sounds logical, but it's based around a misunderstanding of today's data and tomorrow's goals. Across around 183 countries, the average person spends 9.6 years in poor health, disabled, unable to put their socks on, and struggling to do everyday life tasks that we find easy now. Women live longer than men, but they also have a longer period of that frailty or disability. And rightly so, this is a nightmare situation this scenario describes today. It is not the goal of longevity. As I've said here before, the scientific goal is to compress morbidity, that time at the end, meaning push disease and disability later and make them as short as possible. Simple. More years in good health, fewer years in frailty. When scientists target the hallmarks of aging, think senescence, mitochondrial dysfunction, the same interventions that target health span also extend both median and maximum lifespan. In other words, when animals age healthier or age better, they also live longer. The human data tells basically the same story. People with biomarker profiles of biological youth have lower mortality, more disease-free years, and better long-term outcomes. Not just healthier aging as such, but also longer living. Families with more long-lived ancestors don't just live longer, they also have around a decade more of health span, so of the able years. And their snapshot of health looks younger too. Lifestyle-related trials sort of reinforce this. Multi-component lifestyle programs seem to slow epigenetic aging. Every improvement in health span seems to correspond to a lower risk of death. So, better biology, lower mortality, longer life. Many people think lifespan is fixed, but biology doesn't really work like that. As far as we're aware, there's no single timer that forces death once you reach a certain point. For animal studies, things linked to rejuvenation frequently extend lifespan. In other words, healthier tissues don't just feel better, they make the organism harder to kill. When you improve overall resilience, the risk of death from infection, surgery, cardiovascular events drops at basically every age, so robustness is survival. What this means for you is this: if an intervention helps you maintain more muscle mass, protect your brain, keep arteries younger and flexible, preserve immune function, then those same improvements reduce frailty later in life and reduce your risk of death. They don't just give you more time being old, they give you more time being great and reduce the time being old and feeling old. The entire point is young for as long as possible, not old for longer. Health span is the front door to lifespan. Extending one without affecting the other would sort of be an anomaly. If you want to know more about longevity and health span or the things that I try, then subscribe, and I'll see you next time.